Okay, what was the question again they wanted to ask Brother Dan? What was the question you wanted to ask?
How old was Uncle Carl when he had typhoid fever?
How old was Uncle Carl when he had typhoid fever?
8 years old. I guess he was about 8 years old. As far as I know, of course, I wasn't very much older, but some older, all right.
Is there any other questions? Has anybody else got any more questions they want to ask Brother Dan?
How did he come over from Germany?
Do you know how your parents came over from Germany?
Well, my mother didn't come over from Germany. She was already over here. But my father, I thought he said the old time in 6 years he was a sailor, and it took 6 months to cross one way. And according to that, it'd been take him a year to make a round trip. And Maud says that he told her different times that he was a sailor for 7 years. And when he quit sailing, he stopped on this side.
Yeah.
Brother John.
Him and his brother John both were sailors, huh? Is there any other question?
What town in Germany was Grandpa?
What town in Germany was Grandpa Herrmann from?
You know Simon?
I think I heard Papa say
Walter Herrmann.
Does anybody know what town in Germany that old Grandpa Herrmann was from?
Oldest does, I think.
What?
No.
Bremerhaven? Bremerhaven. Sister Lois said it was Bremerhaven. Does that sound right, Brother Dan?
I couldn't tell you. He was born, they had a flour mill, and an old mill, and he was born in that mill up above the water wheel. You see, at that time they run this car off the water wheel, which they have done that here at Parkland, right there west of Parkland. They used to have a mill there that they ground and sawed lumber, and there's a water wheel.
Does anybody else have any more questions? Oh, that's right. You told your brothers and sisters, but you never did tell your children. Do you know them name by name?
I reckon I could name them all.
You reckon you could? All right, let's try it. Yeah, I want to tell something before he goes any further. Before we started this, I told him what I was going to do. I told Brother Dan, I said, Brother Dan, we're going to talk on tape recorder after a while, and I may want you to say something. I wouldn't know what to say. I haven't got a word in edgewise. Okay, go ahead now and tell us your children.
Well, Frida was the oldest, Julius was next,
We'll just say their name.
Reeford, Marie, Doral, Dolores, Edna, Elvis, who? Jimmy.
I lost one in there, didn't I?
Well, you did.
It's all right.
Anna. And Arnold and Monda.
Well, that's doing pretty good. Is any?
They ain't still all here with us, though.
How many of them has passed away? Or?
Well, we lost Doral in the war.
Yes.
Jimmy died 8 months old.
Our first one passed away at 8 months old.
And that was Jimmy.
Jimmy, yeah, when he was born, he only weighed
3 pounds.
3 pounds. And of course, he gained weight and was healthy and took pneumonia, I guess.
Yeah. Does any of Brother Dan's children have any questions they want to ask him? How long has it been since Reeford passed away? Was asked.
Well, in World War II.
No.
Reeford.
Reeford.
Oh.
How long has it been, Mama? 6 years, has it, Mama?
Well, Reeford, of course, was in service, and whenever he come back, he worked around in different verities, and he worked down there at Oklahoma City at Tinkerfield for several years, and raised a family. He had a family of 5 girls and 1 boy, and he got got dissatisfied there in the city, and he wanted to move out in the country, and he finally found a place that he could buy, and he went ahead and bought it. City, and he wanted to move out in the country, and he finally found a place that he could buy, and he went ahead and bought it and started him a house there, and he almost completed the house, and then he took that little team and passed away and left his wife, 5 girls and 1 boy, and they seemed to be pretty happy. He bought a little tract right there south of Parkland there with Proctor Mullins, just across the road from Proctor Mullins. She seems to be satisfied and visits more with us than she did before Reeford passed away.
Is there any other question?
Yes, sir.
I'll just let you ask it in the mic.
Did Grandpa Herman have any brothers or sisters, and what was their names if they did? If he did?
Well, he had one sister, and Pauline.
Just a little bit closer, about like that.
And of course, she's over there in Germany and never did come over, and she is all the time sending my father things, old clothes that wasn't even worth paying the postage on over here, but still she thought he was in hard shape and needed it, and she was all the time sending old stuff, and in fact, a lot of that old stuff we'd like to have now, but we don't know whatever went with it, and it disappeared. Old pictures, and even old bedspreads, nice linen bedspreads and things. Well, we don't know whatever went with them. I guess us children didn't try to take care of stuff. I don't know what else.
Is there any more questions?
Uncle Dan, I know where one of the tablecloths is. Ruth and Quilly have it. They have a tablecloth that's over 100 years old, and when their daughter was married, they used it in the wedding picture for the wedding. One of these tablecloths that was sent over from Germany. It's beautiful still yet after 100 years.
I have
Brother Simon here.
a set of napkins out there that Aunt Elena sent over. My wife was named after her, and she sent a set of napkins that was, the napkins was a yard square, each one of them, and sent 8 napkins. My wife made a tablecloth out of 4 of those napkins and cut the others up into smaller napkins, made 18-inch square napkins out of them. I still have part of them in my home.
Now, these are items that were sent over from Germany. Does anybody else know of anything?
Grandpa Herman had one brother, because I went with Grandpa Herman many a times that he was looking for him, and my dad would take cattle to Oklahoma City, and I got off with him one time, and he went in this florist and asked this man, because he spelled his name just like ours, and but the man come outside and talked to Grandpa Herman, and I was just a little child, and he says, you don't need to claim any relation to me. He didn't want to claim any relation because he was pretty well to do, but Grandpa Herman was satisfied, and he never looked anymore. But I was with him many a times when he was looking for this brother that got lost off of the ship as they come over in the run.
Well, now we've been visiting with Brother Dan, and I think we'll go on then to Brother Carl Herman. We haven't visited with him, and then after we get through visiting with all of them, then if you want to talk concerning their parents that came over, we got Pearl too that we want to visit with, which she'll need to get over here in place pretty soon. But, well, we'll get you in a minute. We got plenty of tape left. We're not going to run out of tape. Okay. Now we'll visit with Brother Carl Herman. And, Brother Carl, of course, I won't ask you who your brothers and sisters were because Dan has already told us. But anything that you remember concerning your mother and dad, could you tell us now?
Well, I remember pretty well. Never barn and the silo and stuff was built, and also when Dan was telling about the time that I had the pneumonia fever so bad, and I well remembered after it's over, because I was 8 years old whenever it happened, but I lost my speech, and I lost my way to walk, and I well remember having to crawl. I couldn't walk, couldn't stand up, I could sit up. I was sitting on the floor playing with my little sister one day, which is just passed on. Became that heavily old. And so she had a bottle playing with it. She all off and hit me over the head. Didn't feel very good. But I couldn't say anything, but we crawled around there and played just like I was a baby. And when I'd go up to the table to eat, well, Papa hold me on his lap. Well, I couldn't talk. I just couldn't no more talk than nothing. I knowed what I wanted, so I just pointed my finger at what I wanted on the table, and we'd get it. And so when I had this pneumonia fever, the authorities was going to take me away from my father and mother and take me to the doctor. And finally, Brother Billy told, he happened to be there one time when they was talking about taking me to the doctor and taking me away from the folks like they want to do nowadays. They don't realize that we've got higher power than they've got, but still we've got our trust in a higher power that made man in the beginning, and so therefore Brother Billy he told him, well, he says, if you want to take him, just go ahead and take him. He says, well, there's no use now. He says, he's too nigh gone. Said medical aid wouldn't help him any. But as Dan said, Mom and Papa was felt to go out there where Sister Nanny Hayes was. Nanny Haynes was. And she was sick, wasn't able to be up, had been sick quite a while. And she saw a man, as Dan says, come in, and he laid his hands on her and prayed for her. She got well. So Papa started with me, and I believe it's the very first night. I don't know, it always seemed to me like it was. After we started, that I made my first steps. I walked from my father to my mother, but that sure did make me rejoice to think that I could walk again. So we went ahead and made a journey out there as he said, it rained on us that first day, about all day, and they stopped in Guthrie and bought some more clothes and covered the old wagon sheet. We went on our journey. We got there, and as well as I remember when we went in, why, she said, there's the man that come and prayed for me. He went over and prayed for her. While we was there, she got up and ministered unto us. And this is great rejoicing. I don't know how long we stayed there. But Father, in those days, he was an old settler and had lots of hard luck. And Dan says they wouldn't bought this little old poor pony team because it's cheap. They had to go in debt for him. They didn't have enough. And the oldest brother, he had to stay at home and take care of the crop. But Papa went on out there. Yes, he was well paid. I'm still here yet today. And 15th September, I'll be 72 years old. And I had that old pneumonia fever 4 times. After I was married, I passed away, I suppose. But my brother, Dan, he got down and pleaded for me. And our old elder, Brother Henry Davis, I remember praying well for me. I think, well, I won't be here when morning comes. Brother O'Hale, Brother Hardbar bid me goodbye. I couldn't say anything much. I knew I was just about gone. And they went out and bid me goodbye. I think, well, you won't see me alive no more. But thanks the Lord, I'm still here today in our first reunion
Brother
Herrmann has ever had.
Carl, can you name your children?
Well, Alice is the oldest one. Alice, she married Buddy Drake. And Eugene is the second one. And he married Miss Harris, that is Hazel Harris. And he has one child and one stepson. And Lois is the next one, and she has one child, which is, she married Clifford Kirkpatrick, that was raised down around Chandler, that is, went to school, high school down there. And they now reside in Oklahoma City, and they got one boy, which is Clifford the second. And they've got a nice home down there, and doing all right. And then has Tennessee. She's got two children, Tennessee Crow. She married Crow, and seemed like it wasn't a success. The Lord didn't have his way in it. And Albert Carl, and then Albie, Leonard, and Carol Dwayne. That's my children. And they're the three boys, the three youngsters down on the farms. And Dwayne, he's Eugene is up at Winona.
Go ahead. I just
And they all seem to have nice families, doing well. We're all enjoying life with reasonable health. Only I had paralytic stroke 7 years ago, the second day of this month. And I'm still here with the help of the Lord, and it's first ever taken a drop of anything for my health or to cure me. I've never done nothing on ask the good Lord, which I still believe is able to do all things, both on earth and in heaven. So I'm still trusting and expect to till I lay down this life. And thank every one of you for being here. I'm glad to meet with you.
Before you close off, let me ask, is there anybody that has any questions they want to ask Brother Carl?
Which one's going to tell about Aunt Fanny?
We'll just let Brother Carl tell now. The question was asked about Aunt Fanny. Could you?
Well, Aunt Fanny, she was a cousin to us. We always called her Aunt because she's raised up. She's just like her mother. She raised me, you might say. And
Grandma's sister's girl.
yeah, she's Grandma's sister's girl, and Grandma's sister died, and she was an orphan girl. And she drove one of the teams here when they made the run. She was older than Otto, and I suppose that's the reason she was driving. She told me that when they crossed the Arkansas River up here, that her team got kind of scared at the man that they had to cross on a ferry. They didn't have such a thing as bridges those days. They either forded the river or had a ferry. And they put both these wagons on the ferry, and in crossing the Arkansas River, she said that this ferryman that run the boat, he walked up in front of the team, and they got kind of excited at him, and they went to back and her off in that river. And it was up, and she thought she was just about gone, but somehow or other, one wheel's all dropped off in the river. And they made the trip on down here all right, but they had quite a bit of trouble in making it. I think maybe they lost one horse, and they was leading the old milk cow along. And how long they was making the run, I don't know, but she told me all about this.
Before we get and run completely out of tape, I want to kind of limit now so we can get to everybody. And let me ask, is there any more questions?
Yes, I would like to say that Aunt Fanny was kidnapped by the gypsies, and but Grandpa Herman and them some way they got her back, because I remember Aunt Fanny saying that.
She put her hand out under the covered wagon,
Under the covered wagon.
and waved at them whenever they tried to, when they caught these gypsies, and she said that Grandpa seen her hand waving under the wagon sheet and found it out.
No. Aunt Fanny, the Egyptians come along when she was a little girl. And they took a liking to her, and they wanted Mama to let her have them. I think there's the ones that was enlarged in pictures. I don't know. I remember when they was there one time. But anyhow, Aunt Fanny, she was a little girl, and they tried to get Mama to let them have them, because they knew she was an orphan girl, and she wasn't Mama's own child, but still, she's just like Mama's own child. And,
Is there any other? I'm going to have to kind of cut it short now because don't want to run out of tape for a visit with a couple others. Is there any other questions to ask Brother Carl? Okay, next we're going to pass that back under here to me. So I just let it squeak, Will. Okay, now then. Okay, now then we'll visit with Sister Pearl and have her to tell us as much as she knows about the Herrmann side of the family. First off, we'll ask you to name your children. To ask Brother Carl. Okay, next we're going to pass that back under here to me. So I just let it squeak, Will. Okay, now then. Okay, now then we'll visit with Sister Pearl and have her to tell us as much as she knows about the Herrmann side of the family. First off, we'll ask you to name your children. Oh, first off, who was your husband? Chester, and where were you married at?
At Dewitt, Arkansas,
When?
1929.
Who married you?
Mr. Miller.
And would you name the children now that you and Chester had?
Clodagh Herrmann. Glenn Herrmann. And Floyd and Troy. And Bobby. Odessa June. And Sarah and Emmett Herrmann.
Do you know of any of the past experiences, the history of the back when you and your husband were first married, of maybe his parents or anything you hold as fond memory you'd like to tell about? Yes. Someone asked the question for her to tell about when Uncle Chester was killed and how he was killed and so on. Could you tell him?
Tell when I first met him.
Okay. Tell when you first met him.
Well, Brother Herrmann and Chester came to Heber Springs, and I got to liking him right then. And my sister Ruby, she liked him too. But I beat her time.
You won out.
He said he liked Ruby, but he liked me the best. And that was the best part about it.
Was Ruby? Did Ruby get mad at you?
Yeah, she got mad at me. But anyway, well, she got a good husband too. But mine was the best. And we lived together 14 years, I believe it was. No, it's 14 because Chloe was 13 years old. And then an accident happened to him and my little boy. The oldest boy, Glenn.
They were killed by a freight train, weren't they?
Yes, sir.
What day was it?
24th of February.
What year? the 24th day of February in 1945 at Chandler, Oklahoma.
Yes, sir. That's correct.
What was the boy's name?
Glenn.
Florida.
Glenn Ralph.
Just like Uncle Otto, they had a load of
Ralph Glenn.
Said they had a load of corn when they went across the track, and did the truck stall on the track or what? Did they just not see the train or what happened? Do you know? Did you ever hear?
They said they didn't see it. What I heard they said, I don't know.
But no evidence whether they stalled on the track or anything.
No.
Well, the freightman said that looked like that they drove up there and seen the train, and they stopped, and then it finally went on, and they got just on the track, and the train hit them. Well, they got just a little past because they was going west, and they was throwed on the west side of the track and scattered the pickup and them all up and down the track till it got free from the train, and that's about the way it happened. All I know was there by the north edge of Chandler, there by that
National Guard Armory there. Just down west of the National Guard Armory.
Yeah.
I was there in town. I went down and helped in the accident. He got the front wheels across the railroad track. He slapped on his brakes or put it in the air or something and slid his hind wheels between the railroad track. And this here floor man that took care of that, raised them floors, told me himself that day. He says, the man and boy, he says, I heard the train a-coming. And I seen them out there, and he says, I walked to the front door, and he says, I seen it all. He says, now there's looking at me, and a visiting, and a talking to me. And he says, they never did see the train, but he says they got across the track, and he tried to stop the front wheels. He says if he would not have applied his brakes or nothing, he'd have got out of the way of the train. But he said the way it was, and of course I seen it, in the back end of the pickup, he had a load of corn in it. He was a peddling sweet potatoes, and he was trying to sell lamb before he had his corn ground for his milk cows. And it hit the back end of that train, that pickup, scattered that corn for about a half a mile down that track. That train was really driving, throwed Glenn plumb across on the west side of the railroad track, and his head was just smashed. I suppose it throwed him against the side of the freight train and then knocked him off over in the ditch.
Is there any questions anybody would like to ask Sister Pearl or any of them concerning her husband, Brother Chester? Is there any questions?
tell where her children are now.
Oh, could you tell where your children are now?
My three boys are in Colorado and Utah.
Colorado and Utah. They must have married girls from out there to be out there.
Well, they married two. They did.
Tell a little about them.
Oh, they're fine girls. And they're
I'm talking
fine
about the boys. What about the boys?
The boys are too. They got all good women, and I'm so proud and thankful for each one of them, the boys and the girls.
What about your other children?
I got three other children, and they're all nice children too. I hope and pray someday I'll see my other two boys accept the faith. We all get to heaven and meet the ones that's gone on before.
Is there any other questions?
How many children do you have at home at Pearl?
Three.
And their names?
Don Ray.
How
One.
old is he?
He's 19.
And Roxy? Don't tell her age.
Roxy and Gary White.
15 years from now, she might not want to hear that. 16.
Is there any other questions? We're going on to Brother Simon here in just...
And I got a good husband too, yeah. My
Yes.
other husband's a good one.
If there's nothing further, we'll go to Brother Simon and let him tell us as much as he knows about his first wife, Sister Christy, I believe was her name, wasn't it, Brother Simon? Tell us her full name
Just a
first.
minute.
Oh, okay. Sister Pearl got something else to say.
I'm real glad and thankful for all of my loved ones that's here. I'm so happy to be with them, and I count myself one of them still yet. I hope next year if we meet, I'll get to meet again with you and bring my other husband with me.
I shouldn't have had that on there.
Oh, okay. Brother Simon, would you tell us your first wife's name, which she was a sister to Carl and Dan and Chester? And then would you tell us her full name?
Her name was Christina Polina
And,
Herman
and when were you married?
in 1906.
Whereabouts?
Stillwater.
Do you know who married you? That's all right if you don't.
Come to my mind right now.
Okay. First off, let me ask you, can you name your children?
Leroy, Paulina, Vernon, Juanita, Bertha, Alfred, Arlo, Billy.
Okay, will you tell us some of the, maybe something you hold as fond memories or something you'd like to record here concerning your wife's parents or maybe your wife, which was a Herrmann, because this is a Herrmann reunion. Tell us something about her.
Well, she was the oldest, one of the Herrmann girls, and I fell in love with her when she was just a child.
Whereabouts?
At Parkland.
How old was she?
Well, she was only about 9 years old the first time I saw her.
Don't tell my daughter that.
And well, she
Or
was
anybody else's.
17 past when we was married. I always thought that the Herrmann family was one of the greatest families I ever knew.
Could you describe what type of a woman she was, something that you remember about her that was outstanding or unusual?
Well, she was a hard worker, good manager, taught me a lot of things about managing. Long black hair.
Had long black hair, Alfred said.
Yes, she had long black hair, and she devoted her time to her home. She was a wonderful homekeeper.
The girls hardly ever missed a meeting either.
No, her and her sister Odessa, they'd go to church. I remember before we were married, I wanted to be engaged to her. She really objected.